Welcome to Horrible Friends, where we talk about horrible things. We are happy to provide you with information you did not ask for. This is your host, me, Brandy, a fine artist and horror event organizer in Halifax, Nova Scotia, joined by my friend, as always, Robin, a blacksmith, leatherworker, and survivalist. Listen in while we discuss some truly horrible things, including, but not limited to, movies, books, games, artwork, and the horrors of life itself. Be aware that you may find things out that you didn't want to know, spoilers or not. Episode 1. Memorable horror movie scenes that stuck with us. Today we discuss our personal favorite and least favorite horror scenes. Well, at least the ones that stuck with us the hardest. You know, those moments in a movie where you either go, oh no, or oh god no. We are taking a deep dive into our most traumatizing horror scene experiences and discussing how having horror movies, be their favorite genre, affects those with mirror synesthesia like myself. Enjoy the secondhand cringe and possible trauma. Welcome to Horrible Friends. I suppose we should just get right into it. I'd like you to go first, Robin, because my list is really long.
Me to go first.
Sorry.
All right. Well, I think, I kind of discussed some things in the last episode that are going to be relevant to this one. I think the things that hit me the most aren't necessarily the really gross, heavy shock stuff. It really is more the tension and the lead up to things that really get me, I don't know, that get me scared, I guess.
Yeah.
This is the point of those things in the movies. I would say things like, we're going to talk about a classic movie, The Exorcist, for instance. The scenes that I think of when I think of that movie, it's not the barfing pea soup on the priest, and it's not the head spinning. That stuff was terrifying, but it was terrifying because the tension was built ahead of time, was so good. Little scenes like the flies in the window, and scenes like just those moments where you knew something was happening, but it wasn't being shown. Mm-hmm. Let my mind kind of go nuts.
That extra, those little elements that are obviously building you into a totally different feel. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it makes those gory, weird scenes like the head spinning really stand out, and the vomiting and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I'm definitely the other category, where typically the things that stick with me are the fucked up, weird ass things that tend to stick with most people, but some of them have stuck with me for a very long time.
Yeah.
This one really, I think it gets everyone, to be honest, and I feel like a lot of people, if not everyone that's seen this movie, is going to feel me on this. But Pet Sematary, when the little boy fucking cuts the Achilles tendon on somebody's fucking foot, I can't, that scene, I was pretty young when I saw that, and ever since then, I have just been terrified that it's going to happen to me. And then my friend's mom had it happen to her. Not like somebody didn't cut it, but she was in an accident where it took
an evil child cut her.
An evil child that was resurrected from, anyway, no. So that didn't help, because that only happened a couple of years after I watched the movie, and I just thought it was like the worst thing ever, because I mean, tendons, all that stuff is so crazy. You need all that stuff to move, and like that itself, like that part of your body is so vulnerable. There's a whole thing about the Achilles tendon, and so that would be my number one scene for that.
I think one thing that I always found stuck with me and still kind of sticks with me is a movie in particular is Jaws. Mm-hmm. I watched it, I think I watched it way too young, and horror scenes are gross because I do get really grossed out by body horror, but that's not really what sticks with me as much. It's the stuff like when I was a kid swimming in a 2-inch deep pool, the thought of a shark being in there somehow stalking me, that has always scared the absolute hell out of me. And when I was a kid, I went to Disney World, and we went on the Jaws ride, the one that killed the guy. At the time,
robots don't kill people, people kill people.
You're right, I don't know. Yeah. There was a whole series of movies about that. Terminator documentaries. You can't
documentaries, yeah.
That's the kind of thing that, like, there's a scene in, I don't know I don't know if anyone's done the ride.
I have, actually. I went on it when I was 7.
Yeah, and it's pretty. There's the point where this kind of shark jumps out of the water at you, and that just, like, the tension of those sort of feelings And you can put that down in the movie to John Williams. Amazing. It was John Williams who did the score for that movie, right? I think so.
I couldn't tell you. I'm not good with names.
I think it was John Williams.
I'm good with sounds, textures, and colors.
Yeah, that's fair. Music guy, the dude. Anyway, the tension in that movie, when that tension was broken by horror, just the scene where they're feeding chum into the water, and Jaws just pops out. Nothing horrible happens in that scene.
But it's startling, yeah.
That's where you first see the what is effectively the monster in that movie. That's where you first really
and like those
get
big
a look at it. And it
black eyes, yeah.
It's also a moment where not just you, but the characters actually first really kind of connect with the monster. Like, you see the monster, and now the monster sees you.
Yeah, and I gotta give it to Jaws, because it's definitely a movie. It's like for me, it's like a feel-good, wholesome, chill out with like a blanket in my living room movie. Of all of it, whatever.
That might be more of a personality disorder.
But like, I really like watching it. And one of the reasons I like Jaws so much is because even though it's a fucking shark, like we've all seen a picture of a shark, and I watched it again recently. He's not that big. Like, it's a big shark, but it's not like crazy big. It's just a slightly bigger great white shark. And the way that
it's believable. It's believable as something that you might encounter.
Yeah, and like the way that they made him, like the animatronic for Jaws, everything that they did was so beautifully crafted that you feel like it's a real shark. And in a lot of those like bloody, gory, fucking chompy scenes, they just execute it in such a good way to show that this is just some mindless creature who decided that it didn't like boats and it loved the taste of human flesh. Like this.
Yeah, sometimes that's the.
Yeah, this shark went through some shit, and he's like, I'm taking this out on this beach. This sweet little quaint island.
Yeah, that's actually, interestingly, there was that shark. Jaws was meant to appear a whole lot more in that movie than he did, but the animatronic they were using kept breaking down all the time.
It's almost like it's in water.
But, I think but I think that's kind of what made it as impactful as it did. Back in the 2000s, when you had all those like remakes and revivals of very terrifying movies, like like Halloween and all that stuff,
and
where they were trying to sort of give backstory to all the characters. Jaws is a good example of why you don't do that.
Yeah, no one needs to know.
It's the fact that there's just a monster there. That's the terrifying thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? There might be a monster in the dark. You don't know to know is that.
And sometimes it really does. Like, the simplicity of a film can really make it what it is. And Jaws is like the most straightforward, simple, normal, everyday, small town bullshit politics. Yeah, it's such a good, like, well-rounded movie. Okay, so I'm just doing a little speed run for Nightmare on Elm Street because it's my favorite series, but it also has a lot of moments in it throughout the series that stuck with me. Number one is the number one, because these aren't in order based on what movie came out when or anything like that. It's all in order of what really shook me, and it was Dream Warriors, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3. The scene where dude gets his tendons and veins pulled out and they're used as puppet strings. Ooh. I actually have never recovered from that scene. And every time I see it, I have to close my eyes. It's because it has to be like having a traumatic childhood plus watching all these traumatic films. It's going to hit you in certain nerves, and sometimes literally. So I don't know if you ever noticed this, Robin, because I tend to keep myself pretty bubbled. But I do not like my arms, my hands, my feet, my knees, my elbows touched. I cannot stand it. And it's not like, it's the tops of my hands, the bend of the elbow, right? The bend of the knee, the tops of the feet. The whole reason for that is because of this fucking movie. Because I saw that and I was like, oh God! And I could feel all of it. Because I have mirror synesthesia, which I should probably talk about for a second. It's when you see something and you can like kind of feel it happen to you. And then you can't unfeel it because now that's done. The thing is, you can't imagine the full scale of sensation from looking at something, but you can gather your own experiences from touch and create a new sensation based on what you're seeing. It's very annoying. I'm obviously a lot better at it now than I used to be for handling how it made me feel, and I no longer get traumatized by scenes anymore. And I love horror movies, so like I don't know why. That was probably the number one, other than the ankle. The ankle and that one were a catalyst for my weird, I don't know if triggers would be the word, but I still can't stand those spots being touched or even by me. I don't even like to touch those spots. So that would be the number one for Freddy. The second would be the giant worm in the beginning of the same movie, because it's so cool. Oh my god. Have you seen it? Like the Dream Warriors?
Yeah, I have seen it.
Okay, so
a long time ago, so
do you know what
it might be it's going to be tough for me to recall stuff, but I do recall some of the things you're talking about.
Okay, so this scene I'm talking about right now is basically this giant Freddy snake thing comes out of the wall and like tries to eat Kristen, the main character, and he's unsuccessful because she's too awesome. And in that scene, there was something about that scene that actually created a dream for me where I ate Freddy, because I was like, I was like a child. I was like, I have to face my fears. And I literally dreamt about eating him, and then after that I wasn't afraid of any of those things anymore, which is so crazy. But like that scene in itself I thought was so cool, because she was gonna get eaten. She was half swallowed, and she got out because she's just a badass. And then that same movie, they're all from this one. There's a scene where she's in a dream sequence, the same character, and she's doing something, and all of a sudden she hears her mom, and she's like, "Mom!" She opens her door, and it's Freddy holding her mom's head, and she's just going,
God.
"On delay, on delay, on delay," and I'm like, that scene was done so well, because she really does look like a severed head that's like screaming at her daughter.
Yeah.
And like, again, these are scenes that stuck with me for various reasons. These are like, these scenes are delicious to me. The Freddy eating Kristen, and then her mom being brought in with her severed head, like bleeding, dripping, like, on delay, I have a man over, fucking be quiet, you know? Like, it's so good. And then the last one is Dream Child. Dream Child is number 4 of the Nightmare on Elm Street series. And there's 2 scenes in that.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's like they're hard to explain. They're all in, like, it's a high school setting. Most of them are high school settings, but this one takes place mostly inside the high school or around the high school.
Right.
And the 2 scenes that are in that, you may have heard of them, is the fucking weightlifting cockroach scene, where this girl who's really into working out and stuff and like the jazz fit type crap, she goes to work out, and then she gets stuck in some trap, and she's terrified of bugs, so Freddy turns her into a cockroach, and basically her elbows split open and turn into like little roach claws and like stuff like that. And like that scene was so disgusting to me. So one thing that I cannot deal with very well is like snot looking stuff. If it looks like snot and mucus, oh my god, that's so gross. Like if there's a vomit scene, I can usually handle it if it's not like that slimy green goop crap. When it's that like pudding looking stuff that like still lingers a little after it's been dropped on something, ugh.
Yeah. Does it only trigger you like in the context of like a horror movie where it might be coming from a body, or is it like, does like anything like that, like Nickelodeon?
Disgusting.
Okay, all right.
I can touch it. Yeah. I can clean it up, but I don't want to look at it happening excessively. I can't deal with it.
Oh, that's fair.
It's gross. Like juicy stuff, depends on what kind of juicy. Like scary stories.
Oh, like Otis Jerry's, you mean?
No, the cockroach and the maggot. Freaky stories, there we go. Freaky stories. Like the maggot always looked so juicy and like wet all the time, and I was like, that's so gross, but I loved it. I watched it all the time.
Look, I do love, and there's another YouTuber, I want to mention who they are. There's a YouTuber who talks about wet puppets.
Yes! Like, why do they gotta be wet?
Yeah,
all I can think about is, like,
they're trying to...
Gross.
It's like Mad God. Like, they're trying to trigger that in you. That's what they're trying to do.
Have you ever held, like, a wet sponge and been like, this feels good? Like, nobody's ever done that.
Have I ever held a wet sponge? No,
I mean...
I've never cleaned a dish in my life.
You know what I mean? Like, out of the context of cleaning something. I just feel like puppets shouldn't be damp.
Yeah, I mean... why they do it. It's because
it's fair.
I mean, there's something like really
Like, obviously they're using some kind of glaze. It's not actually wet, but it just, like, freaks me out sometimes. Especially when there's, like, those little, like, the little, like, dribble, drool lines, like, the strings of slime on people's mouths and stuff.
That does get me. I can't handle dog drool. I lived with a dog for a while that was so drooly, and I just can't.
The drool I can handle, but like I was over at her friend's place and her cat sneezed, and the cat's like older, and the cat sneezed like something amazing, and I was upset because I was trying not to throw up. I was like, oh no. And I mean amazing, like it was like, how did the cat just have that come out of her body? It was like this giant, long, loogie, drippy, gross, what? I can't even think about it, gross. But... And I'm around kids all the time. I gotta clean that shit off of their faces for them, but I'm still like...
I think it's more gross to me in real life than when I see it in a movie. I get where you're coming from.
I'm like the opposite. That's kind of funny.
Grossness like that doesn't... See, here's the thing. When it comes to like wet sort of grossness like we were talking about, it sets a sort of like ambience and like a visual sort of tone that is really I can get into. It's gross, but I can get into it, and I like that. So things that are really uncanny, like again, like the movie Mad God, which is just all of the things you were just talking about.
Which I should watch. My brother gave it to me, but
I mean, it's gonna mess you up if you don't like wet shit.
I mean, I've watched my fair share of Tool videos. Like I can handle it. It just gives me the willies. Honestly, Robin, the only thing that's gonna deter me from watching a horror movie is torture porn or like
See, I'm the same way.
Or excessive cannibalism. Like I don't know what it is about cannibalism. But I feel like a lot of people that write cannibalism movies write them to be gross, not to be like mythological or whatever.
Yeah, it's for shock. It's for shock. When you talk about cannibalism horror movies, you're getting in. There's a lot of like really racist tropes and stuff because it's all about shock and. Yeah,
and I mean, shock horror can be done well, and sometimes I think it's just really disturbed people who write the movies.
That's fair.
I'm a disturbed person.
I mean, saying that as being within that bubble, I get it. Well, it's not. It's not even so much cannibalism, but one that really, really, really stuck with me. It was House of a Thousand Corpses.
Oh yeah.
Which a lot of people watch as sort of like it's like a fun sort of like.
But I think I know exactly what scene you're talking about because I'm terrified of water. Is that the one?
It's not even that. It's probably not. It's the one where one of the characters is cut into pieces and then stitched back together as like a mermaid.
Okay.
The scene, can you remember the scene I'm talking about?
I actually can't because I think I'm thinking of a different movie.
You might be thinking of a different movie.
It's another Rob Zombie movie. It's part of the same trilogy, but I can't remember.
Oh, it's probably okay. I think I know which one you mean. And it's not fundamentally that weird because it doesn't show too much of the process. Like it's not for torture porn's sake. You see this character, and this is where that kind of tension that I was talking about builds up because they're lost in these woods and they get trapped in this by these sort of psychopathic killers. For anyone who hasn't seen it, they're like horror movies of the genre. They're like picked off one by one. This one character, he gets taken. I can't even remember the moments leading up to it, just because the scene is so burned like forever in my memory, where it shows him sort of being dragged and like taken into this lab, and he wanders in or something of this like the mad Dr. Satan, the doctor. The next scene shows how what was done to him, and he's dead, but his body has been like cut up and made into like a diorama of a mermaid, like a fishtail, and it didn't show much of the process, but he was tortured through that.
Yeah.
In my brain, I can picture all the steps that led up to that, and that in itself is just disgustingly horrible to me. Like I can't even.
Yep.
Like I can never expunge that horror from my mind. That one image.
I do agree with you that when I watch movies and something like that happens, because I have such a hard time. My heart is 1,000 times too big. It's a medical condition, big problem. Yes. And when I see stuff like that, it's so hard to not feel this like sense of pain for whatever the character would have went through, even though it's totally fictional. But the idea of that is a possible thing that could possibly happen and likely has happened to somebody. I mean, with the horrors that we've found out about what people are capable of on a regular basis. So I think that those types of things are normal to feel empathetic about because like humans are horrible people. And we know what we're capable of. That's why we make movies about it. And in scenes like that, I can't even think of like a good example, but I totally understand what you're talking about. because it's like, you know that something's going to happen to them, and then in the next scene when they're dead, and then you see them all fucked up, disfigured, whatever, it's like, oh my god, and then you don't know what happened when they were alive versus when they had already died, and it's just like this whirlwind of too many possibilities of horror.
Your brain fills in the space. That's an ingenious way to make something horrible, rather than with Saw, where you really see in my opinion, it's just kind of torture porny. And
the nitty gritty stuff.
I don't find that horrifying. I just find that gross.
Yeah, it just seems. It seems like somebody's just trying to get their rocks off. But I get why people like movies like that. They're not for me.
Same, I agree. But my point is that for me, the horrible part is like having like the space in between that starts and where it ends, rather than seeing what actually happened.
Well, it's kind of
that's where my mind.
Yeah, it's a bit of an eternity, because there's so many ideas, possibilities that you could think, especially if you're a horror fan or a film fan, or think too much about what other people go through. All right, well, I was going to do one of them first, but I'm going to do this one because it's fucked up. And again, I feel like anyone who has seen this movie, there's a lot of fucked up scenes in this movie. I honestly don't even recommend it to people, even though I do think it's a really good horror movie. It's just so there's some stuff in it that's like really cuts through you, and it's intense and abrupt, which I really like in a movie because it's hard to shock me and it's hard to surprise me. This would be Bone Tomahawk. Have you seen it?
Seen it.
You've seen it, so you probably know what scene I'm talking. Actually, no, because there's so many horrible scenes in that.
There are a lot of horrible scenes in that movie.
Yeah, the body split. That was too much for me. One thing, I can handle them chopping a body in half. I've looked at Goya's prints. Like, I know the horrors of humanity. Which is why I had such a hard time with this, because they didn't kill the guy before they started cutting him into pieces. And when I see stuff like that, it really is so upsetting to me and unsettling because of the mirror synesthesia. But also, again, I know this is so funny that I bring this up because it enrages me. But people sometimes say something stupid to me, because you can't say stuff like this to me. Like, other people have it worse. I'm like, listen, I don't want to fucking think about people being turned upside down and cut in half while they're still fucking alive. Thanks, lady. Now I am.
No. Yeah. Other people have it worse is the ultimate, I don't want to engage with this discussion.
I know. Plus, like, I think my whole family could die on a fucking exploded cruise ship, and everyone would be like, well, Brandy, other people have harder problems. And I'd be like, oh my god. Yeah. It's just the way life is. It's the way people are. Yeah. But yeah, so that scene was far too much for me. Of all the scenes in that,
I get that.
That was the one that got me the most. Yeah. But the throat scene was pretty cool, too.
Yeah, that was a good one. I feel like it's weird to discuss that one because there's a lot of... It's actually a very, very controversial movie for good reasons. When I watched that movie, I can't actually bring to mind anything from that movie that explicitly really just messed me up.
Yeah.
When I think there was some element of me where maybe not paying attention enough to actually be scared.
It feels like a crime western, but then it quickly turns into a horror movie.
Well, actually, you were talking about how they didn't kill the guy before they started cutting him up. That is something that always gets to me. One of the things that you see in a lot of movies, and not even necessarily horror movies, in fact, more often than not horror movies, something you often see in war movies, the type of scene where someone's either has their stomach sliced open and their guts kind of spill out and they're alive and they're kind of trying to shovel their guts back in. It's the kind of thing that when I see that coming up in a movie, or I know it's going to be in a movie, I can't even watch it.
It's funny.
It's like watching like an animal die. I can't do it.
Animal deaths, unnecessary animal deaths. Fuck you for putting that in a movie. What the hell? If it's for character building or like some kind of emotional scene, like John Wick or whatever, I get it. But we don't need to see his dog die. Okay, that does bring me to another scene from a movie. I might as well just mention it. Fear. Did you watch Fear with Mark Wahlberg?
No, I have not.
Well, I don't know why, but Mark Wahlberg was my very first human crush because of that movie. What the fuck?
That might be another personality disorder.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a scene where they have this like dog whistle and they have this really obedient dog, and like there's this whole deal about the dog being like just a really well-trained dog, and they love the dog, and the dog is like the little brother's best friend, and then they blow the whistle because they don't know where their dog is, and this guy, Mark, or his buddy. He fucking puts the severed head's dog through the dog door and flops it into their house. And
God, that's
that was so. It's on my list, so I can take it off now. But like that was just like I cried so much because of that dog, and that was the first time I ever really saw an unnecessary animal torture situation in a movie, other than like the severed horse or whatever in that other movie,
like the horse head in the bed from Godfather.
Yeah, I was really young when I saw that, and it didn't really freak me out that bad because I grew up around horses and I knew it wasn't real. So I don't know what else I was gonna say, but I'll just leave it at that.
Well, actually, no. Talking about dog deaths, was it you who, or maybe Shell? We went to see Secret Window with Johnny Depp.
Oh, we did all see that together.
The dog death in that movie really messed me up because you never saw it, you didn't see it happen. Obviously, because the whole point of it was to build tension for the final, like reveal of the movie or whatever. But the main character comes across his dog stabbed to death with a screwdriver. Do you remember that? That stuck with me forever. That was one of the things that that was one of those animal deaths because you never saw you didn't see it happen. You didn't hear any whimpering. There was no sort of graphic.
It's funny.
You didn't show anything. You just.
I was so fixated on trying to figure out what the fuck this random man, because I didn't read anything about the movie before I went to see it with you guys. I guess I was just so focused on, I can't remember the guy's character, the guy, I love him and everything though, but the guy who plays the antagonist, obviously Johnny's the antagonist, but...
I can't remember his name either. He's a great actor.
Right, regardless, I probably don't remember the details because I was trying to figure that out so hard, and only watched the movie once.
I mean, that was what, like 20 years ago?
Yeah, well, not quite, but yeah, it's been a while.
It was definitely 20 years ago. That came out in 2004.
Oh, shit. Well, we must have rented it. We didn't go see it.
I have a vague memory of seeing it. Oh, no, you know what? Yeah, okay. I was thinking of a different movie that I saw in theaters.
Because we did see some older movies in the theater, but that was for, like, vintage night or whatever.
Do you know what movie I was thinking of? And I don't know why I was thinking of.
What?
I don't know if it was you. I think maybe Shell and I went to see Disturbia with Shia LaBeouf when that came out. That's the movie I was thinking of when we were in theater.
I did watch that, but I watched it on video.
Yeah, no, but Secret Window I did see in theaters with someone.
I do know that we watched it again, though. Because we must have watched it.
Yeah, I'm sure we must have.
Yeah.
God, I have no memory of that.
I know, who knows? I was always out of it.
I mean, I have memories, but they're all like fragmented and weird.
Well, we did the same thing every day, and occasionally we'd go to Freeman's. Anyway, I'm going to bring up another one, and we are both going to talk about it because we already discussed that this is one for both of us. And it is the first Resident Evil movie with the laser grid. That was, I have a lot of criticisms about that scene, but when I first saw it, because I actually went with my friends to go see it in theaters, and we just, my friend Alex was working the podium out in Millbrook, and he got us in for free. Or no, he didn't get us in for free. He just got us in without us needing to be 18. It was really fun, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, me and Robert. Anyway, when I first saw that scene, it was like something in me changed. It was the first time I had seen something that cool, I think, especially on a big screen, be executed so well, and the feeling that the movie gave me from the beginning to the end was just so good. I'm not a zombie person, but I like the Resident Evil zombie because they're more like a mutant.
Yeah, it's not just your typical like undead zombie. There's actually something else to them. It's like a sci-fi zombie. Like it can go in any direction.
Yeah. Well, there's so many different evolutions of it, and it's all experiment, like scientific experiment stuff, right? So, again, pretty cool. Yeah, I really liked Resident Evil, but that scene alone, it was like over time.
The laser grid. Yeah, the laser grid scene. The entire scene was sort of them trying to evade these like moving lasers. Getting over it and getting under and getting around and like. Are they going to survive, or is this person again? Yeah, it's a good example of tension building. And then there's like a moment where you're like, okay, are we good? And then there's just this unavoidable grid of lasers opens up, and there's this moment of like, nope, we're dead.
Yeah.
Like it's just.
It's like it's hopeless. Yeah.
That got me. The hopelessness is what got me, rather than the shock of the actual physical death.
Oh, fun fact. I found out last night that The Descent, I don't know if you've seen it, but the original ending was far too hopeless and depressing. So when they released it in the United States...
I heard this.
they had to give it a different ending that had more hope, which ended up leading to a sequel.
Yeah,
which annoyed a lot of fans because they felt like the first one was good alone.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. It was good either way. But I think the reason that original ending, in my opinion, would have been, I mean, both endings were fine, but I would have liked to see that original ending originally, because I think the point of that movie was the hopelessness.
Well,
like that was part of the theme of the movie.
The title of the movie is The Descent. So like she's descending into the cave as well as into madness. So exactly.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's kind of the point. I'm gonna get back into something that killed me with tension, which is, but also did have a sort of body horror physical scare to it aspect. In the American version of The Ring, the original one that came out.
Yeah, with Sarah Michelle
right
Gellar.
At the beginning of that movie, was it Sarah Michelle? Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
The American one.
There's the scene in the beginning where the two.
It's The Grudge I'm thinking of. It's Naomi Watts in The Ring.
Okay. Yeah. So there's the scene in the beginning. Two young women are watching the tape, unsuspecting. You know, it's kind of like a very memed scene at this point. This is something that the image of this, but there's a scene in the beginning where the two young women are watching the tape, the Ring tape, and there's this little scene in the beginning, in that movie where and you find out in that scene that one of them has watched it before, and the twist of that scene is that they watched it the 7 days before, so now the monster's coming for them like right then, and there's this sort of buildup of tension where they're like running through the house trying to look for each other, and then it cuts till later on when the mother comes home and is looking for her daughter. Everything's kind of bright and airy, and she opens up the closet, and her daughter's corpse in the closet.
Pretty guttural.
Well, her rotting face is twisted into this like fear. I don't know what the word is. Not a scowl, but
I know what you mean. It's some kind of horrifying expression. Yeah.
The reveal of the closet was something that, for the longest time, even though I'd seen the movie, I'd only seen that part in bits and pieces because I covered my eyes in the actual when I was watching, right? That was back in high school.
I was gonna say that the Ring, the only scary part to me in that whole movie was when it would reveal what people's faces were all fucked up like after she killed them.
That's exactly what I'm kind of getting at, is the fact that like you die in this unimaginable terror. Like you die, it's like you die of unimaginable terror. Some of the details of those scenes that really mess me up are not just the expression on the face of the victim, but the fact that they're stuck like that in death, and you see the expression, but you see like their rotting face remaining in that position, and you see like the veins under the skin,
and it's like whoever they were is gone.
Horrible. Yeah.
It's like she didn't just kill them, she completely deleted them. Like that's what it feels like.
And
kind of like how she was completely deleted.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And the coming out of the TV scene is kind of creepy, but it's not, to me, scary.
Yeah.
But it was made scary knowing that that's the eventual outcome.
Yeah. And then the tension, of course. And Naomi is concerned about her son. I was going to say, with the description of like that reveal being the scariest part, there was a movie that I really liked back when I was a teenager called Fear.com. I actually became super obsessed with it for whatever reason. And the main girl that is like the ghost or whatever, she is a hemophiliac, or I think that's what it's called.
Okay, yeah.
So, like her condition was that if you hurt her, she would like bleed to death and stuff like that. So she's very terrified of knives and all that stuff. And then because of how terrified she was, she then began haunting. But like the scariest part of that whole movie for me was when it would show this ghost girl. It wasn't the torment or the torture that people were enduring from this like crazy doctor guy. It was just whenever it would show her, or like a hint of like her, because she was so grotesque looking after she had been done with. And then the person trying to find her, the person that's like doing the investigating, oh my god, I'm sucked with water scenes, but she had to go underwater to like find the corpse of this girl so that her spirit could be released or something. And like that shit, no. Dislodging a bloated body from the depths of the ocean while you're holding your breath, you don't have an oxygen tank, I can't deal deal with those scenes. Yeah, no, anyway, that's all.
Well, it's funny, man. That just brought something to my mind, which is, and I think, and I'm gonna get her. I'll I'll put a little text bubble up in the edit if I get this wrong.
Mhm.
But I feel like there was a scene like that. Do you remember The Woman in Black with Daniel Radcliffe?
I never watched
You
it.
seen that movie?
I actually haven't seen any movies with him.
It's good. It is actually it's a good horror movie. You should watch it.
Okay.
There's a scene where, and I won't spoil it for you, but there's a scene where very much like that. It's like underwater corpse retrieval, essentially.
Like,
But,
you know me, I'm not
that's
a squirmy person. I just hold my breath when scenes like that happen.
yeah, that's fair. Again, we talked about it last cast. I do that too. Yeah, no, that is pretty gross. Especially, yeah, like you described, when you see the sort of the bloated remains of a corpse. It's like when you see movies where someone was boiled alive and you see it, like their bloated corpse sitting in like this like soup almost.
Ugh. Yeah, I feel like I
boiled.
remember
Yeah.
what you're talking about, but I can't remember what movie it is either. I blocked it out.
Ugh.
That is something I don't like. Like, it just seems like, okay, cool, I like horror movies, but like this is for people that just want to be gross. I don't know. I shouldn't judge, because I do like my fair share of super gross movies, but I'm particular, I guess. This one you'll probably totally get, and I'd be surprised if it's not also on your subconscious list. But Pan's Labyrinth. When
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, that horrified
Yeah.
me so much. I was like, oh my god, this is like the opening scene of the movie. Like, what the fuck?
I know.
Yeah, so that fucked me up. Like, they did such a good job on that scene. It felt so real. Like, I thought that this actor died. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Yeah, so, like, there's a lot of crazy scenes in that, like the dude with the eyeball things, but the scene where dude gets killed with a fucking beer bottle or wine bottle is the craziest shit. And I loved it. I thought it was so good. Like, obviously, I don't desire to do this to anyone. I have empathy for the fucking worms that hang out on the sidewalk when it's a rainy day.
Yeah, just a little disclaimer for this podcast. Brandy does not want to kill you with
I don't-
a broken wine bottle.
I don't condone the horrifying things I enjoy watching. I don't know. Alright, so that would be one. Hereditary, everybody says the decapitation scene. What the fuck ever. I mean, that was really cool. I like that they put that in the movie.
I hate myself for this, but I did chuckle at first until it like hit me.
Well, it's
'Cause
so
that scene
silly.
was very like it was meant to be like it was meant to make you go, oh wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like that's the point of it was.
Exactly. But no, the scene that stuck with me in that, because I really liked that movie. I felt like it scared me, and I hadn't been scared in so long that it was nice and refreshing. Hereditary and Midsommar, they both gave me a feeling I hadn't felt in so long when I watched a movie, that they're going to be at the top of my modern favorites for a long time.
That's fair.
So the scene was in Hereditary was when he looks up and his mother is floating from the ceiling and she's decapitating herself with a fucking piano wire. That is the coolest thing that I have seen in a movie in so long. It scared me so bad because it's either right before or right after that scene that he sees like a bunch of naked people standing in his attic. Again, oof. It really took the wind out of me.
Yeah.
I felt shocked, I felt surprised, I felt frightened, and it was so nice to feel those things all in one movie again. Because I don't know the last time I felt those things when watching a movie for the first time that wasn't from the 80s or 90s. So anyway, kudos to the people who made that happen. Yeah.
That's why Ari Aster made such an impression, because when Hereditary and Midsommar came out, it was like this weird like explosion of popularity for him. Like he came in at just the right time.
Yeah.
Because he was able to take all those elements that seem to have been like missing from.
Well, and I feel like I feel like a lot of people really fuck up on the whole complex backstory crap. I think he did a really good job of giving you just enough information without overwhelming you. It still creates a really magnificent baseline for a very interesting concept. When you can execute it well, it really brings substance to a film.
Yeah, I don't want to tell anyone not to make the art they want to make, but at the same time, I feel like he and his team did a really good job of like they did themselves a favor by grounding both of those movies in existing mythologies.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, Hereditary is based a lot on well-documented demonic, ritual magic practices. And then Midsummer is based on some very old, like Norse kind of beliefs. You want to get that atmosphere. You don't have to do too much explaining.
Exactly.
Because people already have a sort of idea about what.
Yeah, but then there's people like me. Sure, I may be interested in those things, but I honestly have never put any amount of effort or research into them. I couldn't tell you at all that either of them were based on anything demonic or Norse.
Yeah.
But I was still, being ignorant to those things, I was still fully capable of enjoying the film to the fullest. And I really did. I really liked both of them. I thought they were pretty good.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Midsummer, the skin pants scene was like oofy to me for sure, because it was like, oh my god!
Well, the thing that didn't really get to me, and the reason it didn't get to me is because I was excited that I realized what was going on, and my friends I was watching with had no idea.
So they were like, what's
It was like a moment of
Robin?
like, I know what that is.
Yeah, the skin suit stuff. That stuff really horrifies me. It's like, it's not gross to me. It's just like, oh no! First of all, the craftsmanship. How did they get the skin off so well? Like, I'm pretty sure it doesn't come off like a sleeve, but my skeleton may have been trying to escape from my flesh for a long time now, but it doesn't appear to be that easy.
Well, you're not making it easy.
Yeah.
You're not making it easy.
Yeah. I know, being alive sometimes gets in the way.
I know, right?
So that was cool. I like that in Midsummer. Those scenes really stuck with me because they really like got me in the gut, and I really like that. Like I said, it's hard to get me in the gut. And Wolf Creek, one scene that really got to me really bad, even though it's a serial killer based on movie. There's a scene in it that stuck with me specifically because of my back problems. And it's when the girl who thinks she's escaped finds all these abandoned vehicles in like a warehouse on his property.
Right.
And she's like trying to find one that has like, that's working, or I don't know. She's trying to find one, she's got keys. She's trying to get the fuck out of there. Anyway, he slowly stalks up to her, which is also terrifying. Every time I have a nightmare, it's something like this. Like I'm in a parking lot running away from somebody, or I'm in a house with like 1 million rooms, whatever it is. And I can't see anything. But I always live, so that's good. And he comes up behind her and he stabs her in the spine, and then she's paralyzed and can't move. And that scene fucked me up so bad because I had all this hope for this girl. And then, I was like, yeah, and the scenes leading up to that, like all the aftermath scenes from like previous people who had been tortured or whatever, their corpses lying around, that was pretty fucked up. But like that spine sever scene was like, oh my god, I was so fucked up about that. And all I could think about was like, oh great, I'm gonna get stabbed in this, like, I don't know why.
You know what, that's why those movies do that, because it does that to people.
Yeah.
Right?
The Cell. Have you seen The Cell with Jennifer Lopez?
Either I've seen like bits and pieces and heard reconstructions of it, or I watched it and I wasn't paying attention. I can't remember which. Okay. Because I certainly don't remember a lot from it.
Well, there are 2 specific scenes in it. It's full of pretty uncomfortable moments, for sure, because it's all about, you're taking a deep dive into, like, the childhood and mind of a serial killer who's, like, totally whack. Like, you can't communicate with this person.
Right.
And he's put himself into some psychological coma, or he has some medical, like, seizures or something, and they put him in a coma. So they're trying to figure out what the hell is going on, so they can find the girl that he has kidnapped. And, so I think it might even be Amy Adams that's the girl he kidnapped. I could be wrong. So there's 2 scenes. There's a scene where the main guy, the serial killer, has Vince Vaughn all strapped to a table, and he's cut his stomach open. He's cut his stomach open, and he has this like little like crank thing above it, and he's like cranking his intestines onto this like thing.
Gross.
And there's little spikes on it. So, like, when his intestines are coming out, they're wrapped around this thing. And, dude, oh my god, Robin.
That's me and the intestines.
Yeah, so, this scene, because, so in the scene, the character has this big smile on his face. He's like, hee hee hee. And then he claps. He's like, woo! And then he claps his hands and stuff when he's tormenting people. And I don't know what it is about that, but I'm just like, yes, I love this. Kind of like Art the Clown, but like in a more innocent, childlike way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it's like he's just so curious about everything. Oh my god, it's such a good. You should watch it again. I really like the movie. It's one of my favorite movies. A lot of people disagree.
I don't think I've actually seen it.
Oh, okay. Well,
I've actually seen it.
It is visually stunning, in my opinion. I think they did a good job. J-Lo is good in it. It's the only movie I've ever seen Vince Vaughn look like he's comfortable being who he's acting as. Like, he's not sweaty or frustrated.
He's not playing Vince Vaughn in Dodgeball.
Exactly. Which is, yeah, basically. It's a fairly quiet movie, despite the intense scenes that are in it and, like, the very bright color choices and stuff. Because it's very very visually... Yeah. Like, they were very creative with this film, and it shows. Because it's like, right. Did you watch Dreamscape or Inception?
Inception. I don't know.
Oh, you'd love Dreamscape. Oh, it's so good. But basically, it's like those two. The concept of both of them are like entering someone's subconscious and like being able to manipulate it or see what's going on. So the second scene from this movie, again, you need to watch it. Just close your eyes for the intestine scene. It's like, it sounds more intense than it is because it's all imaginary, right? Anyway, so the next scene is you're in, I can't remember if it's J-Lo or Vince Vaughn, but they're in a room because they're both doing their own individual investigations in the subconscious. One of them goes into a room and there's like a horse in the room, in the middle of the room. And they're like, okay, a horse. And the horse is just doing the deep breathing type situation, just a horse in a room. And then all of a sudden, shook, a bunch of glass comes down.
Deep breathing, sorry.
Well, a bunch of glass comes down and cuts the horse into little tiny 1-inch segments, like slices of horse. And then it separates them all. Oh my god, it's so cool. It separates them all. And then Vince Vaughn, I think it is Vince Vaughn, he's walking around and he's looking at the inner workings of the horse. So he's seeing the intestines move, he's seeing the heart pump, he's seeing things move around in these sections. Like the horse is still very much alive, but now you can see what's inside. And that's kind of like the whole idea of the serial killer is like he wants to see what's inside of people.
So that scene is sort of like emblematic of like the theme of the movie.
Every scene in that movie is a symbol of the inside of this person's brain, which is so cool because the more you watch it, the more you think about it, the more you start to piece all this stuff together. Like, honestly, the movie I feel like it's so underrated in my opinion. A lot of people think it's like garbage and like super simple and J-Lo's in it and blah blah blah. I actually think it's a really good film, but whatever.
Sometimes I'll watch reviews of movies I haven't seen, and I don't think I've seen a review of that movie, but I do see a lot of them sort of pop up, and there's a lot of sentiment of like, this movie's underrated, you know, that kind of thing, right? I think it's one of those things that did poorly when it came out, but sort of like on balance, when you review it now, it's sort of, you can see where...
The interesting story that I have about that movie is when I was... So, as you know, I ran away when I was 16. And I moved in with my friend Dalen. And something that we would always do is we'd go to Lino's in Elmsdale and we'd rent like a bunch of movies. And me and him and my friend Scott and... a couple other people, Robert and Josh, we'd all go over to Dalen's and we'd watch movies. And we rented all of the Hellraiser movies. So we opened up Hellraiser 4, I think, and it wasn't Hellraiser, it was The Cell. So we watched that, and that's when I first saw it.
Days of like finding, like renting movies and getting the wrong one.
Yeah, like we didn't care because we liked it. It was really good. Actually, me and Dalen were both like losing our shit the whole time we were watching because we're like, what? Like, what is happening? Yeah. What does this mean? It's so good. And of course, Scott, you've met Scott. He was just like, it's a movie.
But body transformations in general.
Yeah.
Even though this is not, I'll start with one that is not exactly a body transformation. It is a body transformation, but the body transformations from The Thing, which even though the creatures you see transforming, you know, are not the people transforming into the Thing. They're already the Thing. They're just.
But they put a lot of effort into making it look like a weird alien is alive and doing this, so that makes sense why it's. And plus, like, they did a good job on the prosthetics, but like, fuck, they were gross.
Oh, I know they were. Yeah, well, there's your wet puppets again, right there. There's your.
Oh yeah, when the chest opens up and like eats the guy's hands. It's like, what the fuck?
One of my favorite, absolute favorite genres of horror, or even in some cases comedy, but horror movies, is werewolf movies. I love werewolf movies. Some of the ways they do werewolf transformations, that kind of stuff, those kind of body transformations, just get me like moving in my chair. Like I can't sit still. I have to sort of like look, especially the ones where they're like ripping their skin off. One of my favorites is, I don't know if you've ever seen any of the Ginger Snaps movies.
Oh, I've seen them all.
Oh, I fucking love Ginger Snaps. The body transformations in that movie are pretty horrific. Editing, Robin here. We were about to talk about An American Werewolf in London, but I had to cut the intro bit, so yeah, here you go.
It's like that transition scene. So one thing that really pisses me off about a lot of movies is I feel like a lot of, I don't know if it's director or writer or producer or whatever the fuck, but they decide, oh, hold on, even though we have lots of things that we could put into the content of this film, we actually really need a drawn-out 15-minute fucking scene where nothing at all happens and it's not interesting, but somehow that's still suspenseful. It's not. Don't do it. Stop it. But this scene from American Werewolf in London, I would say it's probably one of the longest transition scenes, especially for a werewolf in a movie that I've seen.
Yeah.
And you enjoy every second of it. They do such a good job.
They crammed in a lot of, like, it wasn't a scene of nothing. They crammed in a lot of what the horror would feel like, rather than just a weird sort of like so.
Well, I feel like they wanted you to feel his pain with him. I feel like that was definitely part of it, because he's got a lot of emotional turmoil right off the bat. A lot
of good werewolf movies do want you to feel the pain. That's kind of where the horror comes from, because being a wolf isn't necessarily that scary in a way, I find, just personally. But it's the transformation. It's like watching your body change.
But for example, look at Ginger Snaps. Does she talk? Does it show her complaining about how much pain she's in trying to transform? No, it's all focusing on how much of a fucking badass, terrifying werewolf bitch she is now. I feel like a lot of movies for werewolf stuff in the day, I think I know what you're talking about, the older ones, like before the 2000s, were very much about like, oh my god, what a horrible curse to be fallen upon. Now you turn into a werewolf every time there's a full moon and you kill everybody you love, and it's really painful to transform, and suddenly you're naked in a field with dead sheep around you. That really fucking sucks and probably fucks with your brain. But then it was like, wait a minute, these are really cool creatures. Let's just talk about how they're werewolves and that's it.
They're werewolves.
And it's just cool that they're a monster. And like, I feel like a lot of modern movies, when werewolves are in it, they don't really think about the fact that it's a fucking horrible curse and not just like a cool like superpower.
No. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of movies that do that purposely, and it's like Underworld was fine for what it was. It wasn't meant to be a horror. Ginger Snaps, I think, specifically kind of walks that line very finely, in a way that, because there's a lot of like, she's a badass.
I think Bridget, you see far more of the physical pain in Bridget than you do in Ginger.
Yeah, 100%.
And she's not even the one that's turning into a werewolf yet.
Yeah, I know, that was so good. Like, one I was going to mention that sort of like, look, and this is not a horror movie, but just as an example of a transformation that I think was a fine enough transformation for what it was, but like, I think is a good example of one that doesn't work in a horror movie is Stephen Sommers' Van Helsing, from Van Helsing, when he turns into a werewolf, because there's a bit of horror involved in it, there's a bit of like pain involved in it, but he just kind of tears his skin off like it's paper, and that wasn't necessarily the point of the movie, so I'm not criticizing the movie, but I just think it's a good example of sometimes you see that done in a way that's not meant to be horror, and I kind of want it to be horror usually.
Did you watch Hemlock Grove?
No, I've seen a couple bits and pieces of things from Hemlock Grove, but I've never actually watched it.
It shows a pretty good example of like the nonchalant being part of a werewolf pack kind of crap, because it's like, oh, he's changing into a werewolf and he just literally goes in his yard and like shakes off his skin. Like, it's a little more intense than that. You can see that he's in a lot of pain, but like, it's very much, this is the lifestyle, we've chosen this, we're a pack, we understand each other, that kind of stuff, which is cool. But yeah, I think we're probably going to do a whole episode on transformation scenes anyway, because they're so good. Yeah. And I have a lot. I actually had a few on this list, but they were more just like really cool. It wasn't that they fucked me up or anything. And werewolf stuff, I'm not... It's funny because I think werewolves are more of a fantasy creature than a horror creature, only because of what they've become with movies and shows lately. But as a kid, they were definitely a monster to me, a horror monster. So, we've talked about Hostel, the ball gag scene where dude gets like, I don't he stabs him in the leg or something, and he throws up with a ball gag in his mouth. That particular moment in that scene, I was immediately like, I don't want to watch this movie because this is too real. And I feel like that guy threw up because the actor threw up and not because it was in the scene. Like, that's how I felt about it. Like, I was so fucked up.
That was Viggo Mortensen breaking his toe kind of moment, yeah.
So that one was pretty bad for me. It's probably one of the main things I think about when I think about watching things like Tourist or whatever. Like, I don't want to, you know what? I don't need to watch the abduction, murder movies. I'm already terrified enough.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't travel because I have nobody to fucking travel with, and I'm definitely going to get kidnapped and dismembered, so I just stay home.
No, I think I was going to say you need to be the kidnapper and the murderer. I think that's the
I'm not strong enough. Like, I can't lift anybody. It's too bad for my back. I'm strong enough to lift people. Obviously, there's evidence of me holding grown men in my arms, but I just can't.
I love that your objection to becoming a serial killer is that it's really bad for my back.
I mean, it is.
Fair.
I need a lurch or something. Okay. So the next one I was going to mention is The Mist, the end scene. So it's sadly comical end scene, but also like that scene was so upsetting to me for various reasons. I mean, you know, I've suffered a lot of abrupt deaths in my life, so stuff like that where it was a conscious decision, then 2 minutes later he was like, oh my god, like I don't think I could live with myself. I'd be gone. I know there's no bullets left, but I'd find a way. Like, I could not live with myself after that. Oh my god. And then Cabin Fever, I don't know if you ever watched it, but it's really stupid. It's one of my least favorite movies that I've ever watched because it's just so fucking stupid. It's just dumb. It's very culty, I guess. But
that's one of those ones that kind of passed me by a little bit, you know.
Well, it's got some of the dudes from Detroit Rock City in it, which is one of the reasons I watched it, because I had a crush on all of them. But I watched this stupid movie, and there's a scene where they realize that they have some kind of flesh-eating disease, and then they decide, fuck it, we're gonna die anyway, so let's be gross. And then, I don't know, the girl's like, alright, I'm just gonna shave my legs. So she goes to shave her legs, and like, the first shave, she like tears off like a layer of skin, and I'm just like, oh my god, like that shit, that kind of, I didn't realize how rotted my body and flesh were until I looked at or touched it. Yeah. Like those scenes where somebody like goes to touch somebody and their hand goes through their arm. Like, it's cool, but it reminds me of those bloated beach whale things, you know, like whales.
I mean, that's the idea of like a body falling apart while you're still alive is just
Yeah. So The Grudge, I don't remember which one it was. Like, I don't remember if it was the Japanese or the American, but there's a scene where this girl is trying to like get away from, like, she feels this sense of like doom, and she's really scared and really frightened, and she's like, oh god. So she gets in her house and throws her groceries on the counter, and then she decides she's going to go in bed because she's scared, and then she covers herself with the blankets again because she's scared, and then she's just like, oh, because she can hear the noises and all the stuff, and then she puts her head under the covers, as most of us do when we're frightened and in bed, and this fucking ghost ass bitch comes up right from under the covers, up into her face. That scene was like, I hate this.
Yeah, no,
like,
that's
I'll never be safe again.
Leave me some space to at least survive this.
No, I need to know that this thin sheet can protect me.
God, I will never forgive a movie for taking that security away.
I know.
Like,
it's like, no,
it's all I have.
Yeah, I trusted you. And we talked about this as well. Leprechaun, the two scenes.
Yes.
From, I think they're both from the first one, but I have watched, I think, the first three, and it's when, I think it's the first scene actually, he goes into this pub and he's getting cheeky with the bartender, and then he like melts the guy's face off with like the milk steamer.
Yeah, that's the scene I was telling you about that messed me up.
That was really fucked up to me.
because the Cubs showed it to me when I was like 10.
Oh my god, yeah. And yeah, like that melty, boily looking flesh type crap is like it doesn't gross me out too much, but like it really is unsettling to look at because I've had a lot of bad burns because I work with a lot of hot tools and I've seen that bubbly, gross, nasty ass mess. So I can imagine the pain, I can imagine the discomfort, I can imagine the disgusting texture it might have. And I don't want to. And then the second scene from that really stuck with me was the belly one where dude's like, I want gold. And he's like, okay, I'll give you gold. And then he fills his stomach up with gold. And then the guy's like so greedy that he cuts his stomach open to get the gold. And it's like, oh my god, this is such wishmaster shit. But yeah, that's the end.
All right. I think that's it for me. I had a couple other ones, but they were sort of like all folded into what we were already talking about.
Okay,
all right. Well, you can find me at Bear Iron Eye on YouTube, my main channel, my main space. So pop on over and check me out. I don't do horror stuff there. It's more gaming, but I hope to see some of you guys there.
All right. And you can find me with Twisted Bunny Fine Arts and Illustration.
Great. Well, I'll see you. Have a wonderful, horrible day, Brandy.
Yeah, you have a fucking horrible day too, Robin. All right. See you later.